Where did I start? I got brought into a life of crime at the top end. When I was being educated on crime, I just got brought into the deep end with some of the biggest fish in the sea. My first experience of stealing, I'm sat in a kitchen with two other kids, James Cleary and Scos from Australia. I'm sat in William Moore's kitchen. You know, the fella that tried to kill me and killed young Craig years ago. All this mad grass shout what he started everywhere. I'm in his kitchen. I'm about 15 and a half, 16 and a half years of age. This is my first experience dealing on a mass scale. And what had happened is Tommy and Willie had come through the door with fishing tackle and bin bags. And in them bin bags, and I'm talking 12 or 15 bin bags, in the bin bags is medication. Opiate-based medication in the thousands. I'm talking thousands upon thousands upon thousands of pills. Medication. What you can only normally get from a doctor's on prescription. They're bringing these bin bags into the kitchen where we are in Willie Moore's gaff. So you've got me, you've got James Cleary, and you've got Scos, who was Willie's nephew from Australia. We called him Scos, Scos, right? So we're in the kitchen. What we would do, we would sit there, we'd get 500 quid a night, we were doing it. And I'm only young. That's big dough for a kid back then, trust me. So what we'd do, we'd empty the bin bag, we'd get all the pills, pop them into a blender, we'd blend them all, put them into 2 kilo bags, tie them up, put them in rod bags, no fishing rod bags, we'd put them in rod bags to be like 8 or something in a rod bag, 8 2 kilo things in a rod bag of these medications. We'd sit there all night, we'd start at like 7 in the evening, and we'd be finished at 6 in the morning in the kitchen. What we'd do then with all the fish and tackle is we'd put the rods on our backs. We had a few little trolleys. We'd come out of Landown Place where Willie Moore's house is, on Mere Lane. He had a place called on Landown, he had a house in there. We'd come out of his, come down Mere Lane a bit, go behind the Batman Park. There's like a path that goes behind the houses towards Tommy's. We'd go in his back garden. In Tommy's back garden, he'd have a big shed across the back. In one part of it, he had English Mastiffs and Neapolitan Mastiffs that he used to breed and sell. In this part of it, he had a homemade kitchen. A homemade kitchen, like a bakery. In that part of it, he had a gym. Okay? So what we do with the fishing tackle is go into the shed. So where the gym is, there was like another little place to store bikes, and like, so it looked on camera, if there was observations, we're just going with fishing tackle and it's going where it normally goes. Do you understand what I'm saying? That was the cover for most of his dealing, fishing. And it's still used today when people are going fishing to Scotland, Wales, majority of the time, well not, sometimes they're parcelled up. So we'd go into the shed, we'd unload all the bags, with there be about 50 of them now. You know what I mean? All of it done, all of it crushed down. I'm not lying to you, there'd be 50, so about 100 key of this dust, okay? In the middle of this thing, you've got them little canisters, you know what we used to get for camping? You know them little fire canisters, you used to get them blue ones? They'd have 3 of them on the go. In the corner over there, you know bacon trays? They'd have bacon trays stacked up to the ceiling. I'm talking like 40 or 50 bacon trays stacked up. So the way they stack them like that, don't they? And then like that, you know, like that. That's the way they're stacked. So what they'll do, they'll have the trays on the heat. They'd have these big brown bottles. I didn't know what they was back then. but it was methadone. It's another prescribed for addicts, which is opiate based. Okay, I think it was. What they're doing is they're pouring this this liquid into the baking trays, heating it up. Then they're getting the powder, what we'd crushed in Willie's, putting it in the baking trays and cooking it up. Now what that'll do to that would turn it brown. That white dust is now brown. And what they do with that bacon, when they got the fluid to the consistency they wanted, they'd get the baking tray and put it over in the corner and stack it with all the others. So all them 50 trays that are there are going to end up on these stoves, are going to get the same ingredients, get to the same consistency, and then placed over there to dry, like a cake would. Yeah? Eventually they dry. It's solid. It's solid now. You've got to smash it out the tray with a hammer. So that's our job. Smashing the tray with a hammer. We bring it in to Tommy's kitchen now. So it comes from the shed. It comes from Willie's at the beginning. It gets cooked up. Goes into the kitchen where it's grinded again. And now what you're looking at is heroin. To the eye, it looks like heroin. Now what to do with that, you could give that to people and they were getting a hit off it, even though there was no heroin in it. Just off the ingredients, they could get a mild hit off it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what they do then is they get the raw form. And say they had one raw form. Let's say it was they always used to get China Whites, which is basically called scab, which is basically the potentest heroin you can get out there, right? So they get one of them, just like, let's say, you never get a 10-10. So let's say a 9 out of 10 in potency, okay? So they'd get one of them and put 6 of these into the one. 6 of them into that one. That one, what? 22. All of a sudden has been turned into 100. Why? Because they're going to Scotland. And what's 22 in Liverpool is 45 in Scotland. And with this 122, they've just created 4 45s, okay? Is this making sense? Now, if you do the maths with everything that they're doing, and they do this every other month, the same thing every other month. Same amounts, same places, same people. You know it? What you do then, you'd have the chef in the kitchen, Tommy, weighing it out, putting it into boxes. Once all the boxes were set out, you'd have 2 jeeps outside, one with a trailer. We'd have pure fishing tackle. There'd be about 9 men there, and me and Clary or Benji, one of us. You know it, with the T-boys type of thing. We'd all be going on this fishing trip. But say on the jeep in the front, there's like 10 rod bags. In 5 of them rod bags, parcels of heroin. Say 12 or 15 in each rod bag. All you're doing then, both vans filth in some sort of way with what we've just been doing for the past 3 days. It's all on these 2 jeeps. Then what we'd do, I can remember it clear as day. We'd fly down motorways and pull off to private lakes. You know, fishing lakes. We'd pull off to private lakes and that's where the meets would happen. You just have fellas from all over the place coming to these fishing lakes, swapping rod bags and then moving on. And that's what we've done. We'd do that. It'd be like 3 days getting it all prepared and then 4 days delivering it. So when we'd go up to Scotland, there'd be like 50 key on jeeps. We'd go up there once a month, fishing, exchange the dough, and then back. And that's my first interaction as a kid. And it's not bull. It's all honest to God, lad. And all that money that was coming in to Tommy and Willie, it was their George, it was their graft. All the profits off all that was coming in was Tommy and Willie's. And when I speak to you about Everton Football Club saying how much dirty dough went in there, I know. I've watched it. I've seen bags of dough being given to the chairman of Liverpool when I was a kid. I mean Everton, sorry. And that's why you hear me say sometimes, don't think that Bill Kenwright was somebody. Don't think Bill Kenwright weren't connected back in the day, like. Bill Kenwright was at the club, left and came back. Do you understand what I'm saying? The first time he was at there, that's when he was. And that's why I said the other day, you know, when Everton are being picked on, and I was saying to yous, it could be an ulterior motive because they haven't got laws to deal with what they know about Everton's financial upbringing. They're just coming at it a different way. But that's just me saying that. They could be coming to try and shut Everton down due to what they know from years ago. And now Bill Kenwright's out the way, it's just like, let's get on with it. But that's my first interaction, mate. Are you telling me I wasn't groomed into it? I'm a 15-year-old kid. I'm sitting in jeeps with George Bromley Senior, Tommy Gildea, Joe McNally, serious individuals, Paddy Carroll. You know, they were the last line before the city and in the hands of the Farleys and people like that. When all them, Paddy Carroll, Joe McNally, Tommy Gildea, when all them were alive, the city was different. Completely different. The control and the order in the city was just there to see. You know, the minute that line of people disappeared or whatever happened to them, and the new breed kicked in, the likes of the Farleys and the Clarks and the Fitzgibbons and all these mad families, they just destroyed the city. No control, no mediation, no one in the front to settle it through this or settle it through that. They were just going wild and encouraged us, my generation, to be 10 times worse than them. And we was. And we encouraged that generation to be 10 times worse than us. And they are. And that generation, the Cashman generation, the Witham generation, they are currently showing your kids how to be the next level. It's the way it works. We had kids watching us. I've gone to jail, come out of jail. Some of them kids have got body counts. Some of them kids are earning on £100,000 a month. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Them kids that have got everyone shook in the city now used to run round for me. They were watching me do my... Loads of them. Fellow, Killer. All them were my boys on our estate. Now I've gone to jail and they got recruited by another firm up the road, the Bakers. And the Bakers just used and abused them kids to the point where they've got them running around making people.